Let's start by reintroducing your characters since it's been a couple weeks. How about Gigi for starters?
All right. My name is Gigi Leroux. Within the House Bastien, I fulfills the role that is most often associated with the key playbook. I'm a social mastermind able to craft arguments and devices with ease. I am a native of El Torre, or at least I claim to be, and I come from a noble upbringing. Of course, again, that is my claim.
Okay, and then how about Magooin?
Yeah, I've been around, lots of jobs. I do things, and I like to keep myself busy. Don't mess with me.
And your playbook is the Couth, if I recall
That's right.
correctly. And that leaves Toulouse. Am I saying it right? No time to lose.
Toulouse Buffet. I am a master agent and infiltrator, cannier than a skulk of foxes, and just as hard to catch. I hail from the principalities, I'm going to say. My job is easier when I'm alone, but Gigi never spoils the game. And I find that Magooin lacks guile and subtlety, but I've taken it upon myself to teach them. That's about all you need to know about Toulouse. I was never here, and you do not know me.
All right. The game breaks down into seasons, and usually there are 3 sessions per season. So we're in the winter in Ilrien, which is kind of a coastal kind of winter, not a Wisconsin winter. So overcast and rainy, often chilly, but not ice cold. Snow very rare. Often at the beginning of a season, one of your house patrons, one of the members of the actual noble family with which you're affiliated, will kind of give you the lay of the land, the house interests, what they're hoping you'll work toward, news that seems important one way or another. And then you can select as you gather information, as you do errands, and as you do your downtime activities, what you want to prioritize any given session and for the season. Ilya Bastien is a young member of the household who's already risen to be the chancellor of House Bastien. She is well known to be extremely ambitious, both for her own career and for the success and future of the house itself. She is known as one who will reward those who work toward those interests and ruthlessly crush those who oppose them. You, as a cohort of House Bastion, feel that you can trust her. And stepping out into game terms, you can trust her.
Okay.
Virtually no one else, the whole universe of Court of Blades, can you unreservedly trust. This is your one gimme, unless in the future you, for some reason, work against her or the house in particular.
All right, we'd have to mess that up.
Yeah, you really have to try to lose this relationship.
As with Blades in the Dark, I state here and now that before this game ends, I will kill her.
Great. And you know the general situation of the house. So the house recently rose into the ranks of the major houses. It is at the bottom of those ranks as the 6th house. But now that the house has consolidated its position and adjusted to this new designation, we're ready to take steps to enhance House Bastion's status relative to other major houses. That could involve building our house up, but there are other ways to enhance relative status. And in the session 0, you guys hatched a plan to create a scandalous play targeting House Elmari, hoping to drag them down. The house leadership supports this idea, but they're really encouraging you to make it sting. It'd be easy to put on a little subtle satire, but if you can get material based on the actual history of the house, something that hits them where it hurts, especially as a house with their origins as foreign mercenaries, all the better. Some pieces of current house news. So your house special ability, you may remember, is you could spend influence, of which you have none right now, but you could spend influence to help you gather information from the poor and needy of Ilrien because of your charitable activities. Unfortunately, there's news that some of your charitable food services, food is showing up rotten at their regular deliveries. Not every time, not every place, but often enough to be disturbing. In other news, the Great Council, which comprises all 6 houses, is reviving this really elaborate court dinner ritual using older forms of etiquette. This is bad for House Bastien. As the newest kid on the block and coming from common origins, they don't have this sort of long view noble knowledge. So they're hiring a etiquette teacher. The house needs to make contact with Fen, an overland smuggler who is willing to meet with representatives of the house, but will not enter the city itself. And finally, you guys have good relations with the Graces, a religious group. Their temple has gotten some land from a disgraced house. They want to build nice, healthy housing for the poor. Other noble houses are trying to encroach on that. They need to raise money to make that a reality. And the house would like to help with that, but they're not made of money.
Mhm.
And finally, news from around Ilrien. There is a duel expected. A member of House Bastien, one of the major houses, like not a main member, and a minor house called House Bastien are expected to fight a duel in the morning. And there could be great opportunities. Outside of the city gates, at the Trader's Gate in the Silent District. Viscount Alistair Lovell, a notorious gossip, also of a major house, is going to be holding late afternoon salons. If you can get an invitation, could be a lovely source of information. There are concerns of sabotage or other wrongdoing where the first prince of House Alanda is trying to build a new warship at the docks. Do you have any questions for Ilya Bastien before she sends you on your way to... So the way... They don't usually just give you an order to do one thing. You guys look around, see what you think you'd be most useful doing, and chase it.
I think that in terms of Gigi's interest, she's most interested in hearing more about this elaborate court dinner ritual. I feel like that's something that she would like to attend those classes, essentially, when the etiquette instructor is present, so that she's able to kind of assist with that, having an outsider's perspective.
Mm-hmm. That sounds interesting, doesn't it? Well, so I'll throw this guy out to you now. The way each session would go usually is you have some free play time where often you'll do something under the general category of gather information. That could be you're going to the library and reading something. It could be you're talking to somebody about something. It could be I'm going to break into the smuggler's warehouse to see what they're hiding in there. It'll almost always involve a die roll with some level of risk and reward to it. If it gets too elaborate and gather information like, I'm going to break into the Bank of Brass and Bone to look at their secret files, that's going to be an errand that's going to take some work to get to lead up to. But gather information can be a wide variety of things. For example, Gigi could ask to and would be given permission to attend one of these classes to evaluate the instructor and see if you could find ways to offer help to the house to prepare for this thing. And how about Toulouse?
Toulouse is kind of interested in making contact with Fan, this smuggling individual.
Okay.
Says he's willing to meet but will not enter the city itself. Mm-hmm. So I'll need to look into... I'll volunteer myself as the meet for him or her or them. Okay. And I'll start looking into a suitable rendezvous point.
Okay. So for what you would actually be doing as a character, you could be nosing around underworld contacts and things like that to make this contact and arrange a meet.
Does
that make sense?
Goal. Yep.
Okay. And then McGowan, what would you want to do with your pre-errand efforts?
I'm presuming that getting in the good graces of the first prince would be very good for the house.
Wouldn't hurt.
Yeah. So, I actually worked at the docks once.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to go and see why the prince's warship is having trouble getting finished. Who is there skimming money? Who is there, throwing wrenches into the works, and so on and so forth.
Excellent. Okay. One of the things I might have predicted. I won't go any further than that, which is awesome. Okay. So sometimes they might just be a die roll. Sometimes there'll be a little bit of role playing. Most of the action will happen when you guys are doing the errand. This is kind of a prequel bit. You'll each do your thing, and then we'll decide what you as a team want to do as your errand.
I don't know if Gigi has the bandwidth to do both, but gosh, she wants to hear more about Alistair Lovell's salons. That just seems like so much fucking fun.
Yeah, well, there is a series of them going on. So even if you miss it the first time around, you might have another shot.
Hell yes.
Okay. So, Gigi, the class is underway. They have an instructor who is, your first read on her is that she definitely seems like she knows what she's doing. Her name is Lady Imelda. Her backstory is that she is so in the city, there are a lot of older noble houses, right? They have noble blood, noble background. They have fallen on hard times one way or another. They don't have the money to keep up the status, so they actually have to make themselves useful to society. In this case, her house has rented people out as, yes, etiquette instructors. Lady Imelda is talking people through, and your house members, you can see, Gigi, they're not quite getting it. Yes, in a normal modern day setting, they'd be fine, but these are things that literally go back centuries. Some of these weird, odd dinner time procedures and habits and precedents and etiquette and things like that. What kind of role do you think you'd like to make? What are you doing game-wise to try to figure out how you can make yourself useful, how you can enhance this effort?
I think what I'd like to establish first is Gigi getting it at least? Is she able to at least demonstrate enough competence with the lesson plan that she could potentially, since she knows these other house members a little bit better, is she able to support the instructor as
Excellent.
kind of an aid, like saying, "Oh, my darling, you see, why is this rather usual to use the salad fork in this manner? It's as Lady, excuse me, Anolda?
Imelda.
Anolda.
Yes, well, that's not quite right, but not
Oh,
bad for a beginner, of course. You are not local, I see. Of course, these customs will seem strange and bewildering to you.
of course. Well, as you might understand, in my home nation of Altore, we have our own customs, which are equally as strange as I am sure. But
Most fascinating, I'm sure.
absolutely,
Okay, so I think a possible skill you might roll here would be consort, because
okay.
you are, making nice with everybody around the table. That seems to fit pretty well. So this will be our first die roll.
Yeah, Gigi's just wanting to bring as much positive energy to the learning environment, so that if people are having trouble, they're not discouraged.
Excellent. Okay, so for consorting, you get 2 dice. You'd be rolling 2d6.
Okay.
Now, usually when you make a roll, you have the option of pushing, spending 2 stress, and you could either add a die or add an effect, add a level of effect, make your result better by 1 level if you succeed. However, your special ability that you chose was a good name. When you push yourself in social engagements while consorting or swaying, you can gain both +1 effect and +1 D instead of one or the other.
And I can choose to push after I see the die roll, right?
You cannot. You push
Okay,
before you roll the
I push
dice.
before I roll. I don't feel like this is something that Gigi needs to stress herself about, because while this is important, I shouldn't stress myself out over other people's
Mhm.
inability to retain information. That would be absurd. So I roll a 6-sided dice 2 times, right?
Yep.
Okay, I can't remember whether things are good,
So
but
6 is really good.
excellent.
4 to 5 is yes, but 1 to
Okay.
3 is oops. Oh, and I should have said the riskiness here is controlled. Nothing
Okay.
terrible is going to happen if you screw this up.
Yeah.
And the effect will be standard, I'll say.
Okay, great. So with my 2 dice, I rolled a 6 and a 5. So that is a 6 result. Do I take the better?
hmm
Okay, great. Yeah.
You
So
do. You
great
take the high
success.
number, correct? Unless if you're ever rolling 0 dice, you roll 2 dice and take
Take
the
the lesser.
worst of the
Okay.
2. Okay, yes, you think a 6. That's pretty good. 90% of it you get, and it works for you, and it makes sense. There are a couple things that seem not to make sense. They seem contrary to everything else that's going on. And you have an inkling like, is this me getting it wrong? Or is she missing out? And of course, how could she be getting it wrong? Why would you? But you are you faked your way through some things before, and you know maybe how to spot it, kind of. Something's not ringing quite right.
I've got a pip in survey. I'd like to examine one of those contradictions in the lesson plan that has happened so far, if I'm reading that right. And I'd like to roll
Uh-huh.
survey to just like suss out if it's something that Gigi is just bringing to the table, or if
Mhm.
the lady perhaps doesn't know as much as she is letting on.
Okay. Yeah. So survey gives you just 1d6. You have 1 dot in survey. You can always push 2 stress to add a die if you want.
Okay. Now, in this, I am going to go ahead and stress myself out to give myself an extra
Okay.
die. Just feels
But
like
this is not consorting or swaying, so
Is
you
it?
won't get that good name bonus.
Which that's okay. I'm going to increase my dice. I don't feel comfortable rolling just 1 for this.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm glad I did that. The first dice that I rolled was a 1, and the second one was a 6. Woo!
Okay. You think she's getting something wrong. You don't know this because even like members of the noble house here haven't encountered this ritual before. You want to know more about her background, you think, and like if you and do some research on this older type of etiquette. You just don't have the details to call her on it right here.
Right.
But you are feeling pretty confident that this is not a you thing. This is a her thing.
Okay.
Your suspicions are very well aroused at this point. Colin, at one point you've typed, "I have changed my mind."
Yeah.
Yes, I have changed my mind.
Oh, about what you want to do.
Yes, because there were so many options there, and I
Yes.
have to confess, when Brent mentioned Viscount Alistair Lovell, I was like, what? I missed that. And I see at the bottom, the first prince has been funding construction of a new warship at the docks.
That's where
The
McGowan is
project
going.
is running.
That's
Oh,
That's
where
what
really?
McGowan's doing. Yeah.
Oh,
Not that you can't also do this.
yeah, because I think that very much plays to Toulouse's strengths. That seems like some place that needs a situation that requires some good snooping and a good eye, so to speak. I like the sound of getting on the good side of the first prince because that sounds profitable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would McGowan mind if Toulouse tags along?
Why would he? McGowan likes everybody.
Sounds good. Toulouse promises not to kill him.
Describe your approach, McGowan. You know the docks pretty well. The docks are this big sprawling district, by the
Mhm.
way. There aren't a ton of ships being built these days. A lot more maintenance going on, but there's a pretty active trade coming in and out of the docks. The one big berth where a ship is being built is this warship. Yeah, rumors have been it's kind of a boondoggle. There are pirates out there, but it's not like Ilrien is getting ready to be in a major sea battle anytime soon.
Right.
The dry docks, there are guards at it. There are, of course, dock workers coming in and out. There's some level of security because it's a important military project for the first prince.
Sure. My presumption, and I've got 2 dots in consort, is that at some point in McGowan's past, he actually worked the docks, either as a longshoreman or something like that, and therefore he probably knows people around here. And so I thought that he would actually just kind of like quite literally consort with some of these people on a break or after work at one of the local pubs, and just like buy a round of drinks and just butter them up and try and get some information about what it's like working on the ship and see what I can gather that way.
Okay, that sounds great. So consorting again, you guys are all about the consorting to gather information, which I heartily approve of. Yeah, you walk the walk on the docks and are able to approach dockers here in Ilrien. The sea is important. Sea trade is important. This is one of the better paid trades in the city, interestingly, and dockers carry themselves with a fair amount of pride. They'll do the odd bit of deference to your noble types, but they're not really going to back down and they're not going to bow and scrape before them.
I like these people. No wonder I did this work earlier.
Oh, yeah. Can't believe you left it, honestly.
Yeah, really, that is weird. What was I thinking?
And so on the docks, you might picture, really seedy dockside dives, and you could find those. But the dockers working near this is a pretty good paying project, and they're eating at, not your gentrified seaside restaurant, but in a nice shack that's selling delicious seafood.
Yeah, no Long John Silvers for these guys.
Yeah, you get in just after they've finished asking for the lady's blessing. The lady's the
Mhm.
goddess most favored by Ilrianese and by sailors and dock workers in particular. And they're settling in, and you hear the familiar sound of griping about the foreman and the poor choice of material, and the things that they're always going to be talking about.
All right. Was I able to identify any of these workers who were actually helping to build the warship? Like, was I there to witness some handful of them there?
Yeah, you've picked an area where, everything there. These are all going to be people who are
Excellent.
carrying supplies in for it, working on it, and it's far enough along that there are lots of different things being done. It's like different stages along. I apologize for not having intimate terminology of shipbuilding,
No
but
worries.
some guys are doing this thing here, and some of them
Yeah.
are doing that thing over there, kind of stuff.
Yeah, sure. Well, if it's possible, I'd like to find a table of a couple of these gentlefolk,
Mhm.
invite myself to sit down and say, hey, can I buy you a round of drinks and just carouse with you? It's been many years since I was on a ship, and I thought I'd find out what it was like working on this new warship here.
Okay. Yeah, they don't immediately reject you because you sound like a docker. So
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, we could take one more round of drinks before I head back in.
Of course. I get the drinks going.
You could role play it out, but what are you hoping to accomplish with your consortation?
I'm hoping to find out what these workers' frustrations are.
Mhm.
Like, what is it that they're having trouble with? My presumption is that these workers aren't necessarily responsible for why things are running long overdue, but I'm betting they have the best sense of what is impeding the finishing of this ship.
Okay, so you wanted to roll your consort, which I think makes a lot of sense. You're here drinking and eating with them, which is kind of the textbook definition of consort.
All right.
That'd be 2 dice. We'll call it controlled. The risk is if you blow it here, like with complete failure or even just a partial success, after you get whatever you get out of them, they're quick to judge
Mhm.
and they'll shut you down if you roll poorly.
I'm all about the risk. I'll push this.
Okay. If you want to push it, that's 2 die or 2 stress for an extra die.
Yeah, I'll put it in the 2 stress for 3 dice. This has got to work, man. I got to make a good first impression. 6.
You guys are just rolling 6s all over the place.
All right.
Yeah. So if you've ever been in a place where a bunch of you had worked in a crappy job situation and somebody starts talking about it and then somebody else picks up, oh yeah, well, do you remember when that boss did blah, blah? That's the cascade you've started.
Excellent.
They don't love the foreman, they don't love the noble house that's hired them, but that doesn't seem to be the core of the problem. Yeah, well, then that stack of lumber fell over. Yeah, but what about when the finish fell over the side? And there's like one accident after another. And they're really pissed off because they're careful, diligent workers. They don't make stupid mistakes like this. And they think it reflects really badly on them that all these things are happening. They're getting blamed for it to some extent, and they know they're not doing it. And a couple times one says, it's a curse if you ask me. And the other ones are like, shut up with your curses. The lady blesses us. And one of them says, I saw those bank fellas around again. And some of them are like, I don't want to hear about your bank fellas.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Tell me more about the bank.
What are these bank fellas doing on a ship that's not even built yet? What could they possibly do to help? It sounds like all they could do is hurt.
One of the skeptics is like, they're not on this ship. Jimmy just has seen them like poking around. I mean, it's their money, right? They lend it to the houses. The houses spend the money. They want to make sure their investment's they're nosing around. And like if you didn't know Dockers, you'd think a fight was about to break out.
Yeah.
With them kind of hissing at each other. You ask me, the Bank of Brass and Bone, they're trying to string this deal along. They're going to milk every fury out of the house that they can, and we're the ones catching the blame for it.
Oh, I see.
And like, go on with ya. You had a 6. You think this guy is sincere. You don't get the sense he's just talking out of his ass. He doesn't know, of course, but you key in on this as possibly valuable information, McGowan.
Yeah. So what I've written down so far here is that the Dockers, they know they're not responsible for the accidents. They think that the Bank of Brass and Bone is trying to milk as much money out of the First Prince as they can.
That's opinions vary. As you know, find 4 Dockers, get 6 opinions. But yes, that seems to be your potentially operational information for that.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to summarize. Thank you for that.
Toulouse the Spy, you are also interested in the docks?
I am. Unlike McGowan, I am not interested in the superstitious tales of the peasant workers.
And we can time this, Toulouse, where you have that information from McGowan before you decide how you want to proceed.
I think I would like to survey the ship itself. I don't know if I want to survey or skulk.
Here's what I'll offer you. You can survey from a distance with very low risk, obviously, but your effect will be very limited. You're not going to see much.
No.
If you want to skulk, it's upping the risk, but then your surveying is going to be all the better.
Yes, okay, but then I can't use my artful trespass, which gives me an additional die on my surveys. So I would like to skulk. Basically, to use a verb here, he shall skulk onto the ship. I would like to skulk onto the ship itself.
Okay.
Like the smoke I am. And
are you doing this during the day, like while they're on break, or at night, or when do you see yourself heading onto this ship?
Sorry, do you consider me an amateur? Of course I'm doing this during the day.
Okay. All right, describe your approach. Swimming in, scaling up, paddling over.
Walking straight up.
No, walking straight up seems a bit ballsy. Yeah, it's a bit early in the day, but yeah, he will go into the water
Nice.
and find one of those ropes. We really should have read a book on ships, shouldn't we?
Well, there's a ton of ropes. I mean,
I know there's a
there's
ton
nothing
of
but
ropes,
ropes.
but there's names for these things. They're not just called ropes. So, one of those ropes that hangs down with the balls on them in the water.
The mizzen ballast line.
Sure, yeah, that one. And
I don't even know if that was made up or not.
Oh, it was so made up.
he would shimmy up one of those like a possum. And, find one of the lower portholes, and he'll
Toulouse,
shoot
the
in there.
possum buffet.
And then once he gets in there, he'll just calmly brush the water off him, and his hair will miraculously poof back up.
Excellent. I love it.
I figure once he's actually on board that ship, he's got the skills to basically skulk around there unhindered and unnoticed.
Okay, so make your skulking roll.
But we shall see what the dice say.
It's going to be risky because, yeah, if you get caught, you might get a sound thrashing, if nothing else, or tip their hand. I think sound thrashing sounds good.
Risque is my middle.
Or injure yourself, perhaps.
Sure, I can live with that. Is it 2d6 or
2d6, you can spend 2 stress to push, of course, if you want.
I have 2 pips in skulk.
Yep, that's the
So
2d6.
2d6, and I can push a stress. I can take a stress for an additional die.
2 stress for an additional die.
2 stress for an additional die.
And when you
My
guys are
God,
on an errand working together, you
This-
could spend 1 stress to help someone else.
this city is an expensive place. Well, you know me, I'm the king of stress. Let's go. I will take it. I will take
Always
2
take the
stress.
stress.
I will take 2 stress for an additional die.
And if your character isn't
Is it okay if I roll live?
Oh, it's up to you. Yeah, I
Yeah,
trust you all.
I haven't done it in so long. So, oh fuck. I have a 5. I have a 2, a 3, and a 5.
5 is good.
Yeah,
5
5's
is
all
good.
right.
Okay, you have successfully skulked on to the ship. The bad news is, since you didn't get a good chance to see what the security procedures were, there are more guards than you expected. It's going to add to the risk of your survey. However, this is our first negative consequence on a roll. You can resist that. And a resistance roll, since it's been a while since we played Blades in the Dark, is you look at your attribute, which above skulk, that's going to be body. You count up how many of those 4 skills you have at least 1 dot filled in. And you roll that many dice. You take 6
Okay.
stress minus the high roll. So could be 0, could be 5.
I'll do that. Okay, that's fine. So I roll 2 die.
You want high, as always.
Oh, no, they're both 3s.
Hey!
Okay, so you add 3 stress. That's the bad news. The good news is they loiter near where you got on. You're hiding behind a crate, actually, that's not meant to stay on the ship. But then you waited out just long enough. You hear them move on their way to another part of the ship. You're there shivering in the winter cold, all wet. That's your stress. But eventually they wander off and leave you free run of much of the ship. So you are in place. You've taken away that additional risk of your survey now by resisting that.
I hope so. I have 5 stress. We've been playing for half an hour.
We haven't even gotten to an errand yet. Wow. This game is great. All right. This is almost like an errand, though, in a way. I think you can use your artful trespass here, because you are watching for the...
Full
Yeah.
trespass is only for survey rolls, though.
Well, but isn't that what you're about to do?
That's true. Sorry, I didn't realize I could do multiple things. Yes,
Well,
I will.
you had skulked onto the boat, and now your
Yeah.
survey is going to be very impactful if you pull it
Oh,
off.
absolutely. Okay, I am going to survey, and I am also going to use artful trespass.
Okay.
You gain plus 1d to survey rolls to notice security measures, locks, guards, alarms, and so on. Which is basically what I will be looking for. I'm looking for flaws within the security measures
Mm-hmm.
and the locks. Anything suspicious about guards. I'm looking for gaps. I'm looking for flaws in the security overall. It says I also gain an additional gather information question.
Yeah.
What are they trying to keep me out of? And I gain 1 die on any engagement roll for acting on that information. Pretty cool. So I am going to survey using Artful Trespass. So
That
that's
makes
going
sense
to
to me.
be 3d6.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not going well. Oh, come on, please, 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 please. No. I have a 1, a 2, and a 3. 3 is my
no.
highest. Very, very bad.
Okay. Yeah. You trespass as artfully as you possibly can, but you actually stumble across an unexpected security measure. There's a captain's quarters was starting to be built, and you thought, maybe I'll find something there. But they have already installed a bell on it, and you go through so stealthily. But why would you install the bell this early in the game? The bell dings loudly. Guards glance around, take notice. They're not running because they're not expecting trouble. And you see them talk to each other for a moment like, that's not one of the workers. There's a spy on the ship?
Wow. Toulouse Buffet foiled by a bell 30 minutes into his first play. Thanks, Rob.
We weren't at super risky here. Yeah, you have a choice. They can harm you, throwing you off roughly and bruised, and you'll take a level 1 harm of bruised. Or you can take a level 1 harm of suspicious or suspected. So it's more of a social harm. But you dash off, though they got a good look at you.
I'll take the former.
Okay. Yeah, so the guards grab you. They don't see that you've gotten into anything. They smack you around a little bit and send you rolling down the gangplank. And don't come back. Ship's not here to be looted.
My arm is bruised.
Yeah,
I can live with that, at least as long as my social standing isn't bruised.
exactly.
That was disastrous. I apologize to everyone there.
So hold on though. You got onto the ship. You didn't get your close up survey. You got a sense that if something was going on this ship from the reaction you got, guards should have seen it. You think it would be pretty difficult, especially given that this was you, that somebody has been sneaking onto the ship to do damage and to sabotage the workings here. So you feel like it's either an inside job or something magical, though you didn't see any sign of that does exist in this universe. It was something other than somebody doing what you just did and infiltrating the ship.
Okay, that sounds good. Thanks.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. You should have gotten some information for that good skulk roll.
Well, not really, because I rolled shittily the entire time.
Okay. Now, you guys have gathered information. You can do now as a team 1 errand, and we could talk about what you want to do. First, if there's something somebody wants to nominate, go for it. It doesn't have to have anything to do with the information you just gathered. These are things that can proceed throughout the season here. And a job could be try to attend one of the events on the list. It could be, I don't know. I'm open to suggestions here.
Sure. So I think, at least from my mind, and I don't know if you said that we're specifically looking to put together an errand, correct?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't know if attending one of those salons that the Viscount is throwing, if that counts as an errand, but perhaps it could be if we have the specific purpose of discovering some dirt on House Almari, since it's apparently hard to keep your mouth shut around the Viscount.
Oh, very true. That's an option. Also, while you guys were gathering information, you did get an update from House Bastien that you could potentially make contact with Fen the smuggler at that duel outside the city gates.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Seems like an opportunity we shouldn't pass up.
Agreed.
Given House Bastien's major stock and trade of supply and transportation, the better supply we have, the better.
Yeah.
So I would think we should try and hook up with this fan.
Okay. This will be an errand. We will proceed to an engagement roll. So when you do an errand, that's job in Blades in the Dark, you pick a general plan. Assault, which doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. Deception, stealth, arcane, using magic of some sort, social, which seems like it might make some sense, or transport doesn't make a lot of sense here. And by the way, so the mission with Fen is he is a smuggler. He can bring in some somewhat high valuable but portable magical objects that the house has a need of. your house doesn't have a lot of experience with the arcane and magic, and there's a sense that they need some magical defensive items to protect the house and their main palace from being surveilled magically. And this fen might have a line on it.
Right.
If Fen is one such a person that is not able to enter the city, then this feels like a stealth engagement because it will probably be very important for us to not be noticed talking with a smuggler who is not able or allowed to enter the city. That association could potentially damage us even further. That would be my suggestion. Go towards stealth rather than a social engagement.
Okay, so you could attend the thing, but like find a way to sneak off and meet him out of the prying eyes of others.
What I'm suggesting even is if Toulouse and McGowan meet with Fen and Gigi runs distraction at the duel, just make sure that no one's kind of looking in the direction of where they're meeting Fen.
Okay, do people agree with that?
I mean, that
Good
seems
to me.
reasonable.
Okay, this is a stealth plan then. Our engagement roll, you begin with 1 die for just sheer audacity to exist the way you do. Major advantages and disadvantages. You can gain a die if this is particularly bold or daring as a plan. I don't think
seem
so.
right.
Is it overly complex or contingent on luck or outside factors? I don't think so that either.
No.
Does this plan leverage one of the house's strengths, which are supply and transport?
It feels associated, right? Like it feels like House Bastien probably has the infrastructure in place to bring goods into the city. It's just we might rely on his expertise for acquiring the specific object that we're requesting.
I'll buy that. Plus 1d. So you've got 2 now. Can any of your friends or contacts provide aid or insight into this errand?
Not for Gigi.
No, my contact's a locksmith. Although, unless we're opening a gate to let him in.
Well, so the one with your up arrow is one that you're on particularly good terms. The blank ones are people you know and can do, they don't owe you. They can do you a favor if you want. The down arrow is a rival. So those are other ones you know and maybe could tap for some help.
I have an up arrow on a gondoliere, which probably is mostly people. I would imagine they also get, have some illicit transport inside the city. Maybe Benicio might know something about that could help Fen out.
Potentially out where you're doing this meeting, there won't be.
Not so much.
Yeah.
No, fair enough.
No canals out here.
The Trader's Gate, is that like southeast?
Oh yeah, it's north on the map. Outside, like the Groan is just inside it. Then there's the no, am I just exactly lying?
Yeah, I believe you might be, because I believe the
Map.
Ground would be south.
I am. It is not, and by north, of course, I mean the exact south of the map. You got to remember, Ilrien, the whole planet's upside down. Yes, the Groan is one of the southernmost sectors inside the walls. Then there's the Traitor's Gate, and then the Silent outside of it. The Silent, there's a road that leads out of, away from the town there, and there's the cemeteries, and of course the Necropolitan Hill.
Such a great name.
For the best ice cream can be
I keep wanting to say Neapolitan Hill.
Yep.
Home of Ilrien's finest ice cream.
What's a buskin?
What is a buskin?
It's a guild of performers, often street performers, musicians, some writers and things like that. And they have like a reputation for being opposed to the system of nobility. You guys have a friendly relationship with the Satirists Guild, which is everything from jesters to writers of comedic and satirical plays.
Yeah, a buskin is also a knee or calf leg boot made of leather or cloth, enclosed by material and laced from above the toes to the top of the boot and open across the toes. A high heel version was worn by Athenian tragic actors.
Okay, so one of my contacts is a shoe.
Or a person who wears shoes.
Or a person who wears shoes. An entertainer who wears shoes.
An entertainer.
A buskin doesn't sound very useful. My other one is a chamber servant and a council secretary, which I don't think I need anybody, and I don't think a locksmith is going to help in this case.
All right, sounds like we're at 2d6 for our engagement roll then. I just want to make sure we're not doing paramours. I don't think any of your enemies or rivals are interfering in this more than usual.
I volunteer that Toulouse does not roll.
You're due. You're due, though. You're due.
I'm due, yeah. Do you really want me to roll it? And if you want me to roll it, do you want me to roll it live, or do you want me to roll it in?
All right, you're talking too much. I'm going to roll the 2d6 here in the chat.
All right.
Is that easy? Ooh.
5.
You got a 5. Okay, that means you start the engagement in a risky position. So let us set the scene. It is the morning of the duel. The story of the duel is that this duel between a major member of a major house and a minor house started at a tavern with a certain geographical dispute over whose table this was technically. As these things do, it escalated into a challenge for a duel. There are all varieties of duels in Ilrien, like just so many different ways. This particular one is a sword, a foil-like sword, and it is to first blood. Cooler heads prevailed enough to say maybe nobody needs to die over that particular table this time. And it's considered exceedingly poor taste to kill someone in a duel to first blood. Very gauche indeed. Usually this sort of thing might not draw a crowd. This one has, again, the winter social season is not very lively. They're members of some major houses, some of the minor houses, some tradesfolk. This is legal-ish, so there's not like a great worry that anybody's going to come and shut this down. Gazing from toward Necropolitan Hill are some of the dead watchers, the people who tend to the hill. They see to the burials of the dead and to the non-rearrivals of the already buried, if you take my meaning. They're looking on with a scowl. They think they clearly don't want this sort of thing going on in their environs. The good news is this is a cemetery. There are gravestones, even small mausoleums here and there. There are lots of places to duck behind and hide and maybe set up some kind of meeting. You are in a risky position. Your arrival was noticed. You came a bit on the fashionably late side, and you get the sense that some eyes are watching you closer than others. There are some nobles here who are actually entitled to wear noble masks. You guys aren't. You can wear generic masks if you want, but there are some specific ones. There's a tension here in the air, people excited at the action. You see Gigi actually. Funny, we should mention, you see the Viscount Alistair Lovell himself is among the spectators here.
Viscount, I have been so interested in attending some of your salons. I am just so very interested to join you in the future. My own duties with House Bastien, of course, have kept me rather busy. You must understand, becoming a newly within the Great Council. Is that the right term?
Mm-hmm, exactly.
I hope you'll save me a seat.
House Bastien, certainly your arrival in the great houses has made life more interesting. Okay, it sounds like you're trying to create a certain impression on the Viscount.
Yeah, definitely. I'm always trying to make an impression.
I think that's worth a roll. The risk here, of course, is that, approaching, making this social contact. The Viscount has other people to talk to here, of course. If you fail and they slight you in front of everybody.
Yeah, then I'm just that stupid Altori girl that spoke out of turn.
And how are you trying to come off? Are you trying to come off as, I'm a noble insider myself, or I am that, that bumbling outsider?
My hope is that the Viscount sees in Gigi a kindred spirit, someone who loves life and people and hearing about their lives.
Okay. What do you think you might roll for that?
I definitely feel like this is going to be a consort roll.
Okay.
I think there's a definite argument to be made for sway because I'm trying to jockey for position, but I feel like the consort, this is still light. I'm not trying to convince him of anything. I'm just hey, just making you aware of my existence.
That makes sense to me.
Would I be able to use my good name ability?
Consorting or swaying in a social engagement. Yes,
okay.
Yes, you can.
Am I taking 2 stress?
So that's going to add a die and an effect. Yep, okay. For 2 stress.
So I'm going to roll 3 times. That's a 2. That's a 5. And a 4. I'll take that 5 and plus 1 effect.
Viscount Alistair does give a full attention to you and says, yes, consider yourself. And of course, you can bring a friend or associate or two. What more the merrier, I suppose. What is that Tuesday next?
Tuesday next.
Afternoon in the house level gardens. I will inform the doorman that you are invited.
Viscount, I cannot wait for Tuesday. I must admit, these duels are not in regular practice in El Torre. So I'm very interested to see how this scene plays out. Perhaps you could share with me the rules of this engagement.
The risky part, the consequence of a 5 and not a 6, is that this conversation is over. And you will take a level 1 harm of publicly slighted. People are paying attention to the conversation, not in a mean-spirited way, but you've clearly overstayed the Viscount's conversational welcome at this moment, and people see it. You can resist that consequence if you want with a spirit roll. So you've got 2 of the spirit attributes with at least 1 dot. So you'd take 6 stress minus the higher of 2 dice, or you can just eat that level 1 harm and try to deal with it later.
No, I'm getting too high in stress, and I can heal this off pretty easily with some of the graces. So publicly slighted.
Yes, in level 1 harm. Okay, Spy Boy and Doc Boy. Gigi has actually managed to attract a little bit of the attention by being publicly slighted, so there's some good news there.
I embarrassed myself for you animals. Do something.
The duelists and their seconds now are talking through the rules, inspecting weapons, that sort of thing. You two are going to try to find Fen and make them meet. You've got a rough description, though. Fen, the smuggler, uses various disguises, of course.
Toulouse would survey and see if he can spot this individual.
That makes sense. This will be... you're in risky here. So the risk is if you really blow it, there's a chance that you're going to attract unwanted attention from someone, and they're going to want to see what you're doing. You don't know who it might be, but there's a lot of prying eyes here. You can push, but also now you've got a buddy here. Magooan, if you wanted, you could spend a stress to give Toulouse an extra die.
Absolutely.
You're kind of helping look around too, but you're trying not to gawk like yokel.
Okay. Stress marked.
Okay, so that gives me 3 dice.
Can't fail.
Do I want to take 2 stress anyway? I get 4 dice. Oh, we can't have this fail. Okay, no talking. More rolling.
That's right.
Oh, thank Christ. A 6. I have 2 4s and a 6.
That's not bad.
That is solid. It's not a critical, but so 6, you definitely spot Fen, and Fen spots you spotting Fen, and no one else seems to. I mean, you've got kind of the spy thing. He's got the smuggler thing. You can be surprisingly communicative with each other without using words here. What do you want to arrange with Fen?
I would indicate a secluded corner of the venue with my eyebrows. My apple eyebrows, as you can see from my image.
Yeah. So there's a place where you can duck behind some brushes and then a mausoleum, and then with not having to move far or obtrusively, especially while people's eyes are directed on the main event here, you wouldn't even need to roll a skulk. The 2 of you and he could get over there and have a brief chat.
Okay, well, I have nothing in spirit, so I will defer to Magooan on that.
I have marks and consort. That's about it.
So you guys can start heading over to meet with them there. As you're doing it, there is, from the you're moving away from the Necropolitan Hill. From the direction of the hill, a bunch of huge ravens start fluttering about and cawing and swooping about all over the place. It really cuts through the quiet morning, and everybody's attention is attracted over there for a brief moment.
Time to hide.
Yeah, that is an even better distraction. You are able to get a quiet moment alone with Fen. And he says, word is you could trade me some supplies in from the city for some specialty items.
Indeed. If you have a list, we will supply you with a list.
Mm-hmm. I have a list. And he produced something. Now, you guys, as a house with supply as one of your strengths, he is actually looking for kind of not luxury goods at all. You get the sense that you are feeding his crew here and feeding and clothing his crew and a lot of the basics. And he would be bringing in these magical supplies. We need to come up with a plan to smuggle things in and out. I'm coming in over land with these things. We can't bring these things in the dock. They sometimes screen for magical items being smuggled in, but at the Trader's Gate, nobody seems to pay that much attention. you kind of can make out a plan. We don't need to work out all the arcane details of it. Now comes the negotiating. We don't need to talk numbers here. There's kind of a baseline agreement that seems to be in the works. You guys can try to haggle if you want.
If Fen seems reasonable, I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, he seems reasonable to me too.
Yeah, I
so-
see no reason to haggle about this.
Mhm.
Especially since what he's asking for isn't too complicated or difficult.
No.
Okay, so you guys are making your plans. Back to you, Gigi. When the crows or the ravens made all the noise, everybody looked up, and there's like kind of a stir around the duelists and where the swords were. With your history of chicanery, you feel suspicious that something might be going on there.
I would like to survey, because you said there could be potentially some level of chicanery, I believe was the word that you used. Is
Yes.
everything on the up? I
Mhm.
Unfortunately, I lost the Viscount's attention, so being unschooled in the matters of dueling, my understanding might be a little suspect, but I'm going to. Is there something going on? I'd like to just take a closer look at that.
It sounds like probably I don't know, what skill? Survey,
Feels like survey's the
potentially.
best if I'm like
Makes sense.
spotting something that seems a little off.
Okay, yeah, that
Yeah,
makes a
I would
lot
like
of
to
sense, I
observe the
think.
situation and anticipate outcomes.
Oh, yeah, that sounds good. Okay, so that would be 1d6 because you have 1 on your survey. You could push
I'm gonna
if you
push.
want, but you're racking them up
Yeah,
there.
I'm good without pushing. What in terms of just risk? What am I risking though? What's the risk on this? Just not noticing.
You're going to risk looking like
Oh,
a yokel.
damn.
It's controlled. Yeah, the risk is minor, but
Yeah,
it's there.
but that hurts.
That's a good point. I always need to suggest a risk when
Wow,
there's a roll
Gigi's
being
just
made.
getting trashed in public here.
Listen, it's a fucking jungle out here, guys. I'm hanging on by a thread socially already.
Actually,
So I did roll survey, so I've got a dice roll, but please continue.
okay. I will throw a lady's bargain at you. This is like the devil's bargain in
Okay.
the book. If you're willing to just completely expose yourself as a gawking yokel, I will give you an extra die. So basically, you will be like leaning in and like blatantly, and everybody, when they turn back, they're just going to see you looking very unpruned and not bearing yourself with the proper decorum here.
Yeah, that's too much. I'm
Okay.
gonna stick with my single dice roll,
Which
was a
was?
4.
Okay, I will give you limited effect on it. Actually, you won't take the full
you.
risk on it. So for a second, you join everyone and look like, what the hell's going on? Because it's really loud and the birds were flapping in towards you just out of nowhere all of a sudden. But you look back faster than everyone else and you see a figure clad in sort of outdated clothes of the nobility, a little worn and ragged. He looks like he belongs here, but is not of the highest status anymore, if he ever was. While the duelists were looking up and the judge, you see him leaning back away from the swords and quickly looking around to see if he was observed. The consequence was limited effect. You didn't see what he did. A 6, you would have seen actually what
Do I
had happened
recognize this
there.
person in any way, shape, or form? Like, are they associated with any of the major houses or a minor house?
Roll 2d6 as a fortune roll just to see. So there's no negative consequence. This is, have you happened to run into this person? It's possible, but not certain.
2d6, a 3, and a 6. Love those 6s.
6. Okay. Yes. So this is a person named Peter DeRay of a basically defunct noble line, now generally seen as a noble-blooded ne'er-do-well, often willing to hire himself out as a minion for whatever cause is willing to pay for his next week's rent. And no job too low is his reputation. After the crowd returns its attention to the duel, he subtly works his way toward the back of the crowd and starts walking away. And this is now when Fen has separated from your compatriots, and the two of you now are returning just in time to see the duelists picking their swords.
Okay.
You have a moment if you want to share what you may have seen, Gigi. With your
Right,
buddies, I mean, not with the
absolutely.
crowd.
Yeah, I
Or
think
whatever you
that
wanna do.
Gigi is always going to be open with that kind of information. So after Toulouse and Magooan return, she says, I hope that your rendezvous was successful. There was a bit of a distraction, and I noticed the presence of one Peter Doré. I had heard that he was a bit of a ne'er-do-well. He seems to be leaving now, however. Just for clarification, based on the the information I received, is there a potential that he has futzed with the dueling weapons in some way, shape, or form?
It seems entirely possible. Everybody was looking away in the moment before you saw him pull away from the vicinity of the weapons. And he's not a duelist, a judge,
Right.
or a second. Nobody else was standing that close.
Okay, so now leads to the question, do I necessarily care enough about a duel between House Battaglia and a now minor house to stop? I don't care about these people, so I let McGowan and Toulouse know just as a bit of trivia, but beyond that, Gigi keeps her mouth shut.
Okay, the duel will begin now, and DeRay is now, you see, he's like skulked, and he is making his way away from the duel crowd toward the city gate, the Trader's Gate, I should say.
Although it could be interesting to know who hired him and for what purpose.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think McGowan's going to follow.
Okay, just McGowan.
Yes, someone
Okay.
needs to know how this duel turns out.
I'll be Gigi.
What does McGowan have in Skull?
Nothing.
Boys,
Okay.
you want to go deal with the ne'er-do-well while I watch these two men scrap each other?
Well, go ahead. I mean, if you want to, I didn't think you wanted to skulk. Please go skulk. In which case, I'll go ahead and watch this duel.
I'll follow him though. Although your no pips will probably roll better than my 2 pips.
Well, so you're following him, and that's good news. You don't need to roll to spot something. As he makes his way toward the Trader's Gate, he drops a bag off to the side of the path, a small leather sack, and then starts hustling now toward the gate.
I pocket that. I pick it up and take it.
Okay. You feel the heft of something inside it. A couple things clink together as well.
Okay, I'm going to stay watching him for the time being.
Okay.
Rocks.
All right, so we're going to have a quick die roll here to see who picked up which blade. Not that it's probably important at all. And then somebody give me a 2d6 fortune roll for the House Battaglia person.
Okay, I'll do Battaglia.
And somebody for
I'll
House
roll for
Vizieri. That's a 3 for Battaglia.
6 and 1.
Okay, so there is a brief duel, and Paolo Vizieri does get first blood. You see no indication of extra ill effect. They seem to be best of friends now. Then somebody in the crowd says, "Look at Battaglia's blade. He's poisoned it." And then the two of you, Gigi and McGowan, see somebody like start walking away from the crowd, and they're like clearly looking around on the ground for something.
Can I identify that person?
You know, he's not in the noble community here. He's maybe somebody from a minor house of some sort. Honestly, your read on him is a generic thug dressed up
Okay.
nicely.
Bulldog in a coat with tails.
Yeah, but you see, like, he's looking along the ground and, like, getting more frantic, trying to spot something and failing to.
That's because it's in my pocket.
Exactly.
Probably.
At the duel, some people are like, how could you tell it's poison? I don't see any. And somebody's like, well, maybe there's a glint.
Has the judge, examined the blade again at this point?
Yeah, the judge takes it, just, seeks around for an alchemist. And there's general consternation here. I mean, no harm done, but the Battaglia duelist is like, I have no idea. I, of course, would not poison the blade. And is protesting his innocence. The duel breaks up, and the judge announces his intention to go with the duelists and their seconds to an alchemist to evaluate it. And both Kyron Battaglia is quite distraught, much more about the apparent poison than about the puncture wound in his bicep.
Then about the fact that he's bleeding now. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, Toulouse. If you're going to try to follow him a distance, it will take some skulking, because he does seem to be glancing back from time to time, but trying to disappear into the city.
I will skulk and I will take 2 stress to give myself a third. So,
Close to 9 o'clock, time to fill out that stress clock.
Yes.
oh my God, 4 is my highest. I'm making it difficult for you.
Yeah. Easy. Full-on success and failure is always really easy. I'll give you a choice. You can get a little more information out of the follow, but he's going to make you. He's going to see you are following him and who you are. or you can break off pursuit and only get a general sense of where he was going.
I'm gonna let him make me.
Okay. You follow him across the Groan, across the bridge into the Gilt District, G-I-L-T, not G-U-I-L-T. You do spot the building he goes into. It's one there. So the Gilt has some entertainment and brothels and and taverns and things like that. He goes into some kind of private house in it, spots you following him as he goes in, hesitates, realizes it's too late for you to not see him go into that house, but you see him talk to someone. He goes in, a couple of armed guards come out and shut the door behind them and are looking around as though he'd said, watch out for somebody there.
When our eyes make contact, I produce his bag from my pocket and I show it to him and
Nice.
I wag my finger at him.
Excellent. Okay. So you know where he went. You have the bag. Do you want to reconvene with your compatriots?
Oh yeah, I want to get out of there as soon as
My game
possible.
to lose.
Okay.
You missed quite the climax of the duel.
And I say, madam, I think not. And I produce my magic sack from my pocket.
All right.
Somewhere discreet, obviously, because I don't want this poisoning to be
Mr.
pinned on us.
Buffet,
Uh-huh.
I didn't realize you had such a magical sack.
Some would say it is poison.
Okay. Are you looking within?
Into the le sac magique, of course.
Mhm. Okay. You find a vial of a viscous material with a skull and crossbones or local equivalent thereof. It could be more obvious that it's poison. That's one of the two items. The other is a badge commonly issued to followers of House Bastien.
Oh, those fuckers. Oh.
Okay.
Oh, it's a setup, man. I knew it was going to be a setup.
That's a good
Okay.
thing that Bastien said their best.
Okay, I think we can leave the action there and go to payoff and downtime.
All right.
After an errand, the PCs take stock of what they achieved, both the influence they've earned within their house and any favor they garnered with other factions in the course of the operation. A successful errand always generates influence. So, influence is your ability to tap into the resources of your house. You've done good work for Bastien, and they are willing to pony up some cash and influence and resources on your behalf. And then you can spend it on all manner of helpful things along the way. You earn 2 influence per errand by default. I'm going to say, well, let's talk about what you achieved here. You successfully made the contact with the smuggler, and I assume you report this back to House Bastien. You foiled a plot to set up House Bastien for a poisoning.
Yes.
That seem about right?
Yep.
Okay. So you'd get the 2 for the base success of this, and I'm going to throw in a 3rd influence for foiling that plot as well. So 3 influence can be marked if somebody wants to pull up the Bastien
I'm on it.
sheet. Okay. Did we get favor with another house? I think you're starting to lay the or other organization. I think you're starting to lay the groundwork for doing that with the ship thing, potentially. You've got an invitation to the level thing. Does anybody want to make a case that you made such a good impression that would give you favor with another house?
I agree.
I don't think we're quite there yet.
I don't think we're there
I'm
yet.
open to
A
suggestions.
lot of good things happened today, but
Oh, yeah. Totally. Exposure and shame. Anything your coterie expires exposure as you go about your errands. 0 exposure. Only your house is even aware that you were dispatched. I feel like you didn't draw a lot of attention. I feel like the only one who really got good eyes on you was the minion of whoever was setting you up here.
Yeah.
So we don't need a lot of exposure here. As you get too much exposure, you get shame, and shame is bad. Let's do some experience points now, shall we? Let us start with your unique one. So for the eye to lose, did you address a challenge with stealth and or perception?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And by the way, as with Blades in the Dark, even if you failed on it, you still get to count the XP. You have a choice. So you've got 4 XP tracks. Character XP, which is what you use to buy special abilities. Then body, mind, or spirit, which once you fill that up, you get to put an extra dot in one of the attributes in that category.
Yeah, I should probably start working on my spirit, so I'll take 1 in there.
The Kuth, Magooin, did you address a challenge with evasion and or mayhem?
No, I don't think so. Unless we want to count like meeting with Fen.
Evasive.
I think so. Yeah,
You successfully
I think
met
that makes sense.
with a known smuggler and
Kept it on the down low. Yeah.
That's not. Yeah, that's interesting. Like that's not even my impression of the Couth. Like I even built
Yeah.
this guy to be a much
Yeah.
more straightforward kind of. Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
we might think about how that one works a little bit, but I think we can count that evasion right now.
All right.
And, but yeah, I kind of see your characters working a little different than that suggests.
Well, I just read. That's the way I even read how the character functions.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah.
All right.
And you're the key, Gigi, I believe. Did you address a challenge with expertise and or calculation?
I don't think I've leveraged expertise in this session. However, I feel like there were multiple moments where I was very calculating. Like I was observing the instructor,
Yeah.
observing, just identifying people, just
Yeah.
getting to know. Calculation, yes, I would say so.
Oh yeah, and I mean your description is a social mastermind, and I think you were doing that. And yeah, the streetwise part of the Couth, I think, kind of definitely fit into
Yeah.
your stuff today, Damon. I think that makes a lot more sense. Okay, now this next question's going to be for everyone. Again, starting with column. Did you express your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background as you see it? And these, of course, develop over time too.
I don't believe so.
Okay, you guys didn't have any desperate situations to get XP this
That's okay
time.
for the first play.
Oh yeah. For McGowan, did you express your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background?
In a way, yeah. I was immediately drawn to going to talk with the doctors because I perceived
Yeah.
that it's like, yeah, these are my kind of folks.
Exactly. I think that makes a lot of sense. So that is a point to drop into one of those. And same question for Gigi.
Yes, I explicitly. Yeah,
I think your
explicitly
background there,
used
yeah.
my interesting nationality to open up an avenue with the Viscount and also just to help with the instructor there.
Your background is military for Toulouse. I don't know. I think I can make an argument that your instant interest in the most military option on the table for your gather information makes sense.
I will take the experience point.
Yeah, you will, and you'll like it. Did anybody struggle with issues from your indulgences, or nobody has scandals yet for your indulgences then? I didn't really throw a lot of opportunities for that.
No, not today.
We'll get that for future reference.
I took a slight tincture of the poison to indulge my pleasure in drugs. I touched it to my thigh inside my pocket when no one was
I don't think
there.
we're going to count that.
Okay.
Now, the coterie, the group XP. Did you overcome an obstacle with audacity or unorthodoxy?
I don't feel that way. I think that I think this session we did a good job of keeping our heads low and observing, doing what we needed to do, but nothing was particularly audacious or unorthodox.
Okay. Did you contend with challenges above your current station? You don't know it yet, but yes.
Oh, all right.
Do we mark one in coterie?
So coterie XP, yep, if somebody wants to do that. Did you bolster your coterie's reputation or develop a new one? And your reputation was uncouth.
Yep.
I think we're still
I
uncouth.
don't think we bolstered it, but
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, GG, after all, got embarrassed.
Yep, Gigi got embarrassed. Toulouse got thrown off a boat.
Shit.
And you got to carouse with dockers.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I think that earns you one.
All right.
And this is always the trickiest one in all these. Did you express the goals, drives, inner conflict, or essential nature of the coterie? And this is a chance for you to invent what those things are, if you want.
The closest thing that I can think of is that in terms of the essential nature of this coterie, being members of House Bastien, the fact that we had a member of our coterie go to the dock workers and kind of socialize with them in a way, I feel like that feels like a House Bastien move.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I think so. Like you are of the people for the people, sort of.
Yeah.
Or at least that's your rep.
Yeah, right.
Okay, great. Okay, that takes us to our downtime activities. You get 2 downtime each. How about this? Just for fun. What if we make your total influence reward 4? You throw 1 into the house pool and each take 1 on your character sheet.
Okay.
Because that sounds fun to me. Court of Blades, downtime activities. You each get 2. Here they are. Indulge and reduce stress is a very popular one in Forged in the Dark games. That's where you get to roll and have a chance of bringing down your stress. Train is super straightforward. When you train, you add 1 XP in the XP pool of your choice, any of the 4. Make amends. Don't worry about that now. That's when you, I think, get scandals or you get a lot of negative relations with another house. Recover is your chance to get rid of harm. You guys have level 1 harm, was the worst, I think, so far. Acquire assets is a way to get single-use thing. It could be a thing. Oh, we didn't use flashbacks today. Oh, well. A single-use item or expert or transport or something like that. Uncover a plot is a way to start trying to figure out what rival houses are doing, what their goals are. Like your long-term thing is to do that play. Well, they all have their own things, and you could try to uncover that. Long-term projects, that's like a real catch-all. I want to figure out who's supplying drugs into the city. You could start a long-term project and start marking off things. Intrigues are similar, but bigger. There's something that all of you can contribute to and work on for the house. And you could say, okay, we're going to do an intrigue to try to gather information on the rival house, or sky's the limit on that. So pause a moment to ponder, and I'm guessing there's going to be some indulging and reducing stress along the way. Let's start with Colin this time for the first downtime activity.
Going to retire to whatever the equivalent of an opium den is in this place.
Oh yeah, there's all manner of drugs. Dreamweed, grist, flip.
Whatever the hardest drug they have here is, that's his thing. Anything to take away the nightmares of the Calray campaign.
Oh my God. So you look at your lowest attribute, and that's how many dice you get to roll.
2d6, take the lowest.
Oh,
3. I'll take it.
Not too bad.
It's not
Yeah,
too
you get rid of
bad.
3 stress by drugging yourself up. Gigi, your first downtime activity.
In terms of our ability to heal as a house, since we're aligned with the lady, we have graces rather than physicers, right?
Correct.
Aha, yep. I want to get rid of this 1 harm that I have from being publicly slighted by the Viscount level.
It's a very rational thing to want to do. Social harm is handled through a healing clock, like physical harm, but it doesn't benefit from the house's healer. So a grace can help with physical harm. A physiker can help with arcane harm. Social harm is you're going to make a die roll. You're going to tell me how you in society try to clean up that harm and then make a roll. You can consort or sway to stamp out the lingering effects of social harm or get someone to intercede on your behalf. Well, those are pretty good ones for you, though.
I think that Gigi sort of becomes maybe not a permanent fixture at the Viscount salons, but it's enough to where that stink gets kind of taken away from our relationship. As little bit of a relationship there is. Right.
Well, it's not so much the relationship as what people saw happen. Yeah. So you being there would make total sense to help clean that up. So consort or sway, I think they're 2 dots either way. Now, in this kind of roll, a bad roll just means like if you fail, you only get 1 tick mark on that clock. So you don't, it doesn't get worse on a failed roll.
I'm showing up to these salons just visibly drunk and just like punching people.
Yeah. Licking everybody.
I got a 1 and a 4 on my consort roll.
Okay. So you'll get 2 ticks on your social healing clock. So when that's full, you clear that level 1 slighted harm. So basically what the slighted harm will do to you is in some social situations, I will call on that and it's going to give you less effect. Damon, round 1 of downtime.
I just want to get rid of my stress level.
Makes sense to me. So we consider your lowest attribute, which is spirit, body, or the other one.
It's spirit, right? It's how many many things you have dots in?
It's how many you have at least 1 dot. Yeah. So you were correct. Yeah. Spirit, you have consort, but nothing else. So you roll 1 die. That's how much stress. And remember, if you overshoot, you overindulge.
All right, we'll see what happens.
Okay.
5.
Okay, good news, you clear your stress.
Hooray!
Bad news is look toward the bottom of your sheet where it says clocks.
Yeah.
Add a clock.
Okay.
And if you can, let's just make it a 6 wedge clock if you have the option.
Okay.
And then write in gambling debts come due. So if you ever fill that, here come the leg breakers.
All right.
Oh, and put 2 ticks on it.
Got it.
1 for each that you overshot. Okay, Column, your second downtime activity.
I still see the burning mud huts and hear the screams of the children.
Okay.
So more smack, Vicar, please.
Okay. Roll away. Another 3. Not bad. That could have been, I mean, you had a really good shot at a 1 on both of those. So, Gigi, your second downtime activity.
I could either attend more of the salons with Viscount level to remove the harm that he inadvertently placed upon me.
Oh yeah. Was it inadvertent? Like maybe it's just
It
maybe
should
it's a
be.
maybe
It
it's a
could be.
lesson of
You know,
sorts. I don't know.
We're all learning. If I were to indulge my vice, the mechanics of that would be to use my body roll. So just a single dice, roll that dice, and then I remove that many stress, correct?
Exactly. And if you have 4 stress. If you go higher than 4, you overindulge. And your vice is arcane. Ooh,
Yeah,
what kind of things does
you
Gigi?
know what?
Oh, that's
And
right. I remember
I'm
now.
going to do it because I'm going to indulge in my vice. And Gigi has a rather strange. There's on occasion she will ask the people that are. I imagine that being of noble birth and being tied to House Bastien, she does have people that kind of work for her, right? Within the grounds of like maintaining the rooms or
Oh yeah, there are
right.
servants.
I
Yeah, you guys
think
don't have
that
to clean
there
up after your own
is
selves.
one day that she actually requests all the serving staff to not go into her chambers. And on that day, she closes the curtains and she covers all the mirrors, and the room is completely black. And she says in an entirely different voice, "Alma mater, I sit in silence and I listen to your words." And specifically, this is a male voice coming out of Gigi's throat, and she reduces 1 stress. All that setup.
Oh my god. That sucks. Okay. Well, I mean, 3's better than 4. That leaves McGowan for round 2 of downtime.
You know what? Let's train. Apparently, I need to get a little bit better at skulking around. So,
Okay. So you can add a dot to, what is that, the prowess?
is it
Or that's the
body?
wrong game. Whichever one Skulk is under.
Yep, body.
Body, yes.
All right.
Oh yeah, so you could just add an XP to body for training.
Done and done.
Now, anybody could spend the 1 influence point that you personally have to get an extra downtime action.
I would.
Nah, keep it.
Okay. Mark off that influence. What do you want to do?
Apologies. And to heal, it was 2d6.
Yes, because you're consorting.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
That's a 6 and a 4.
Okay, that 6 is more than enough. So you fill up your healing clock and you can remove the social slight. You know, now word has gotten out in society that was whoever whatever they saw at that duel.
Gigi? Well,
It
Gigi's
was
delightful.
poppycock,
Who would ever want to
balderdash.
slide her?
Okay, that is everything.
Oh, yeah.